fear is blocking your NHL dream and your potential. So what do I mean by this? Well, here's the thing. You have greatness within you. You have way more potential than you realize. As a hockey player, if you're an athlete watching this, you are way more talented than you realize. But here's the thing. Fear is getting in the way of your potential because you are allowing fear to stop you. You're allowing fear to get in the way and actually prevent you from acting on the things that you know that you need to do in order to get to where you want to go. Now we're going to dig in deep here and really look at what it is that is causing you to stop. What about fear is causing you to actually take a step back from the actions you know you need to take? And what is it that's stopping you from investing in yourself and making the moves that you need to make? So let's dig in. So fear, number one, stops you from actually training harder. Number two, fear stops you from investing in yourself. Number three, fear stops you from actually making the plays you know you can make on the ice because you are afraid to make mistakes. You might get embarrassed, you might screw it up, you might get sat, so you're afraid of your coach sitting you, you're afraid of your teammates making fun of you or judging you. You're afraid of something. Now, I want to make it clear, we all have fears. Everybody is afraid of something to some extent. There's always going to be something in your life that brings that emotion of nervousness, anxiety, something out of you, that discomfort. But if what happens is that you are allowing it to stop you. You're allowing that fear to actually almost act as like a physical barrier in front of you and not do certain things. You can do way more than you're doing. And I talk about this so often with all the guys I work with in the Next Level Academy, in the Platinum programs, like the one-on-one programs. Every single call we get on, we end up talking about these concepts. We end up talking about the fact that players will basically, they will establish, okay, like this is what I can do, but if I go outside of this area, outside of my comfort zone, so imagine like this is your comfort zone, and then if I go just outside of it, so you know, you go a little bit further out, it's like, I don't know, I don't really want to go out there, because if I mess up, I might have this happen. And the thing is, your fear of that happening is going to lead you to kind of slowly collapse what you can do, because rarely are we certain 100% about anything. And if you allow fear to kind of creep in, what happens is your comfort zone, let's say, is here, and then it gets a little more narrow, and it gets a little more narrow, and a little more narrow, and suddenly you're trapped within this very weird role that you've established on your team, and sometimes that role sucks because you've been too afraid to expand out of it. You've been too afraid to invest in a trainer to help you, and that's the thing, is like, if you really want to get better, you actually have to think about, like, what do I need to do to get better? But before we go into that, I want you to think about what fear actually is. So let me read you the definition of it right here. So fear is an unpleasant emotion caused by the belief that someone or something is dangerous, likely to cause pain, or a threat. So it's an actual response to like something in the external world that might like cause you physical harm, might threaten your life in some way or threaten your well-being. So that's like that. That's what that feeling is. That's where it comes from. Now, the thing you want to realize with this that is always very interesting when you actually dig into it is that the reason we have fear is because we evolved as humans for somewhere in the range of like 300,000 years, which is kind of crazy if you've never learned that before. But we've evolved as humans for 300,000 years as what's called Homo sapiens. So like what we are, basically. And what's happened, and all animals have developed this. The animals had this before. Other species of sapiens, like different, like humans, also had this as well. But you notice, like, everybody has these fear responses if there's physical threat. But the thing with humans that we have that's unique is that we feel fear about things that aren't actually really threatening. So we will feel fear about what if someone judges us. We'll have social, and these are social fears. So we'll have fear of someone judging us. We'll have fear of looking bad. We'll have fear of like making a mistake and like not like people saying, oh, you're not good enough or you can't handle this or whatever it is. But we have these like stories that we build in our heads. And in the Next Level Accelerator, we talk really deeply about this concept that we have stories in our heads. And these stories that we have in our heads get in the way and actually say like, oh, no, we can't do this. But here's the thing. It's like air. It's not real. It's just a thing you've built. It's a made up storyline that you've stacked up in your head. And that storyline is now telling you, oh no, you can't do this now. Don't do this because this is what's going to happen. But what if that does happen? Like, what if you get sat? Okay, whatever. You can deal with it. What if you have a bad game or whatever and you have a bad week? Okay, whatever. But the thing is that when you actually accept, okay, here's the worst case thing that can happen. You just acknowledge, here's the worst case thing. You say, cool, awesome, here's what it is. And deal with it. Feel what those emotions are. Really see what it would be like to have that happen. And then realize, it's not that big of a deal. It's not that stressful. It's not that dangerous. Worst case is you look bad. Most of the time, that's what it is. You look bad, your coach bugs you, your coach sits you for a shift, and you say, okay, cool, I learned from that. I'll do something different next time. I'll learn from it. And the thing is that if something bad happens, if the worst case scenario actually does happen, what you need to do is learn from it and not be afraid of it. And understand, okay, why did it occur? And then take from it. If it was just bad luck, then acknowledge that. If it was because you did some kind of part of the skill wrong, you didn't understand the hockey IQ part of it, if you mistimed it, then you understand, okay, this is why this play happened, and you can learn from it. But most players will just say, oh yeah, no, can't do that again, and they'll just automatically put it like outside of the box. They'll move it out of the comfort zone box, and then they're screwed. And what you want to think, something I learned from Daryl Belfry that I thought was really helpful, was he described this concept of in games you want to be doing things that you know you can do at least 8 out of 10 times. So if you were to try a move 10 times, you can get it about 8 times out of 10. And that's a general rule to follow. It's not like 100%. Obviously, you're going to have times where you may try something in a low-risk scenario. And this is part of our hockey IQ training that we do in all of the academy and everything. The idea is it's risk management. It's understanding the level of risk in every situation. So if there's a high upside of success and there's a low downside, then you want to take those risks even if you know you might only execute it 50-50. Because if the benefit is I'm going to get a breakaway, and the downside is that you might have a turnover, and the turnover just leads to, the other team breaks in on a 4-on-4 or something. It's not that big of a deal. So it's worth the risk. But again, this is where fear comes in. Our fear is illogical at times. And it tells us something that's not actually true. It says, no. Don't do this because this is going to be bad and we could die. And that's the key thing to understand here, is that our brain is actually telling us, that's why I went on a tangent here, but that's what our brain is actually saying is, I feel fear, I'm scared because I don't want to die. That's what it's saying. It feels like it could like actually, like your brain is saying the same thing as if there was a lion or tiger or whatever, something rattling around in the bushes in front of you, and your brain goes, okay, that could be something, let's run away and get away from that. The humans that evolved were who lived on and passed on their genes and had had more kids and passed on more. It was the ones who actually had a fear response. The ones who weren't scared of things that could kill them, they would have died, right? It's just logical. I mean, this isn't proven, but it is an evolutionary psychology concept and an evolutionary theory. But what you want to think is, again, so we're evolved to feel fear. We're evolved to think things are more dangerous than they are because it's better to think something's more dangerous to keep us physically alive when the world is threatening. But the thing is, the world's not threatening. The world is not that dangerous. But yet our brains are wired for a world that is. So you have to learn how to actually unwire that part of you. Now, how do you unwire that part of you? This is a complicated thing. It's complicated to understand how it works. The more simple way to do it is you first learn to meditate. So you start meditating every day. And the reason you do meditations, you set a timer for 5 minutes. Everybody says, oh, how do I meditate? It's very simple to do simple awareness meditation. You sit, you pay attention to your thoughts and emotions. And what you notice is that a lot of the thoughts and emotions you have on a daily basis for 99% of people is fear-based. You don't want something to happen. You're scared. You're nervous. So when you do those first meditation sessions, and we're probably going to be doing some basically like some 14-day sprints where we do meditation, visualization. We teach you guys this stuff. So if you haven't applied to our programs, just go on my website, courseandsearls.com, and just apply on there, and like put your email in and stuff within that form, and then you'll get updated when we do actually release this stuff, because we're going to be giving away, like doing some like free interactive group stuff and a bunch of different things that are on the way. I just don't want to announce it in case we change the structure a little bit, but I just want to give you guys that idea. So go there, go to courseandsearls.com. The apply now is like, one of the top buttons. Just click on that, apply, because if you haven't gotten started with meditation, when you first start doing it, what you're going to notice, and we learn this in the academy, so like the paid programs, is that if you're not noticing that you have fearful thoughts, like you don't have any anxious thoughts or anything like that, it's just because you're not actually aware of your thoughts yet. So that's the first step in the process, is you actually start to learn, okay, got it, right? So you say, okay, I got it. Like, this is actually something that I don't even see. Like, I just feel like my brain is just, doing whatever it's doing. But the deeper you become aware, you start to discover this kind of hidden layer within your mind that has been existing. And imagine like you got your whole brain, and only like this is not how it actually works, but just imagine this for a second. It's like the top part of your brain. Say it's like a part of the screen. I don't know how I'm going to crop this, but like say it's this amount, and now like this amount is like your conscious thought. Maybe it's even less. Say it's like this, and then the whole rest of it, like the 80-90%, it's all theoretical how much it is, obviously, but some part of that it's like most of it is subconscious or just below conscious awareness. There's kind of this pocket, so right, so you have this, you have like a little gap at the top, and then there's like an in-between part. Like say if this was a a foot tall like chart, there's like an inch or two that are at the very top that are conscious, then an inch or two that are sort of conscious, like you're sort of aware of it. And that's what you start to tap in with meditation. And then mental programming is what hits that like bottom in what you learn in the thing called a thing called the 14-day rewire that we do in the accelerator program. Is during this 14-day rewire, you actually learn to actually program deeper down into that chart. And if you can really tap into the very bottom of it and really shift how you see yourself on a deep subconscious level, this is what happens when you actually identity shift. Because you go from being the type of person who just says positive things to themselves to try to convince themselves they're positive or they're good or they're as confident as they want to be. Then there's like, it starts to seep in a little bit, but that takes years and years and years of affirmations. Or you can shortcut it in a shorter time by doing deeper programming, getting deep into those subconscious layers. And it's like layers. You chip away, chip away, chip away, chip away over those 14 days. And before that, you're also taking different actions, which is going to compound the speed. It's like a compound effect. Because when you change your habits and your actions on a daily basis, on a weekly, monthly, yearly, and like career-long basis, and that's what happens when you go through like my programs, and I'm sure there could be other programs that do this too for hockey players, but that's what you start to notice, is that an identity shift happens and you just suddenly become the person you always said you wanted to be. And it's like, I get kind of like chills thinking about it, because when it happens, it's so special. It's something different than you've ever experienced before. And I just had a player that I was just talking to on one of the platinum like one-on-one calls, and he just said like, yeah, I just am this player now, and I feel like I move with a purpose. I know what I'm doing every day. I'm excited to get up in the morning because I know I have a direction to go. And that's what I want you guys to feel. That's what I want everybody to be able to feel. I hope that every person can find that in themselves in some way. And if the vehicle for you is hockey, then I want to help you do that. So now, again, I know I went way off on a tangent here, but circling back to the concept of fear, thinking about what it actually means. And I want you to realize that fear is crushing you. It's stopping you. And if it's not stopping you, it's because you're just not aware of it right now. And then if it really isn't, like you're actually truly unlocked, then you probably don't really need to listen to the rest of this podcast, because you figured out something that very, very few people understand. And what you also are going to realize, and I'm not trying to sell like a magic pill, a magic formula, and this is what I'm going to be talking about in the actually identity letter. So if you guys aren't subscribed to the letters, it's the video of this, so the video you're watching right now, it's the podcast version, so the audio version of this, which you could be listening to as a podcast right now, and then it's the written version. So the written version is just a more like condensed, concise version of everything we're talking about. But what I want you to realize here is that it's all condensed down. It's all condensed in that area and more simple for you. And so again, the key here is that you want to actually take a second and realize, okay, so fear is stopping you, and I'm writing this for players that understand that they actually see something for themselves. And then they've reached out to me, or they've reached out to someone else, like online, like a mental performance coach or a mental coach or somebody. And you said, hey coach, can I get some quick tips? Hey, I'm looking to have an awesome off season. Can you give me some advice? I want to be clear with you, because I was that player. I used to do this all the time. I would DM all the coaches that I liked and say, hey, like, could you give me some advice? Could you give me some tips? The first thing I want you to realize is, number one, if somebody has like a really big account, there is like hundreds of people asking those questions. And so when you ask for this advice, what you want to do is you want to ask it more directly. You want to say, okay, this is what I'm trying to figure out. What are your thoughts? And for me, what I have started to do is I will send players a form. And it's the same form you can fill out on the website. And the reason I send this is because it allows me to give you tailored advice. And I can recommend you to programs that I have, whether free or paid. Because what I've done is I've built programs to solve problems. And the hard thing is that when people DM me, it's really hard to send like a really long message back. And I just want to explain this to people. You're not going to get, unless I write you like a 30-minute paragraph, or I make you a video like this and explain a whole concept. This is why I make videos like this and podcasts like this and write articles like this, is because it's easier to distribute this to more players. Because now I have hundreds of players every week asking me these questions, and I want to actually be able to provide legitimate value for you. And then what I also want to do is, if you guys do see the commitment level for yourself go up, I hope to motivate you in these to actually really take a step forward. And what I hope is that in this video, what you're realizing is that you do have fear that's preventing you from investing in your game. And that's what we're going to get into in a second. Because again, if you DM me, I very rarely am going to give you a detailed message back. And I just want to explain that because it's super hard and I don't know. So you fill out the form. Now I know who you are. It asks you all the questions that we would have asked on the DMs anyways. And then I can actually tell you, hey, here's what I got. And right now, I don't know if I'm going to be continuing to do this. I might not be. But right now, I'm giving away a $100 free mental course to anybody who does end up messaging me. So it's a mindset course that I built a couple years ago. And I've sold it for $100 before. It's a program that I'm giving to people because it's a really good starter place for a lot of guys. And a lot of times that can be just a great place to really get rolling. So just, again, conceptually, just so you know, if you fill out the form on the website or whatever, you'll get that. But back to the scheduled programming here. And really, so when you do DM someone, I just want you to be clear. You're not going to get a quick fix, and there is no magic pill. There's nothing like magical and just perfect that's just going to, I say 2 sentences and you just get it. Because number one, you're probably questioning my advice anyways, because if you're not like interested in actually just like purchasing any of my programs, you probably don't trust me enough to really trust my advice. So if I give you advice, you're just going to say, cool, that's interesting, thank you, and kind of walk away from it. So it's like, what was the point of that? What did you really get? What did I really get? Right? So it's not really a ton that's going to come from that. And then the other thing to realize is that you want to get what others want. So right, like everybody else wants something, but you don't want to do something different to get it. And this is so important. It's like the guys that I've worked with, and this is something like to understand, like when I know somebody is a good fit to help them and work with them, is they just come to me and say, hey, can we work together? Hey, can we do this? Like, what do you got? And it's so easy to just have a conversation with someone like that, because they're clear and they know what is required, and they are doing something that other players aren't. So I just want you to realize, don't be an average player. Don't be a normal person. You want to be different. And what I mean by different is that you get clear on what you want. You get clear on what you need, and you say, this is what I need. Can you help me or not? And if you can come to somebody like me, and I respect this so much in the DMs, if someone says, hey, can you help me? I say, hey, can you fill out this form? They fill it out like that. Instantly, right back, we have a conversation. Okay, and we figure something out. That is clear, that is concise, and that is what coaches want. That's what everybody wants, because it's so easy to deal with. It's so much easier. It makes everyone's life clear, concise, and you can just move forward with it. So I highly, highly, highly recommend that you do that. And not just for me. Like I'm saying, like when you reach out to anybody, when you talk to coaches, just look for the concise advice. Don't worry about feelings. Don't try to be like pretty and nice. Just be polite to people and say, hey, could you please help me with this? This is what I'm looking for. What can I do? And then actually be expecting like an action step. And that's what I always try to do. Give you an action step, fill out the form. I can answer it. I can give you specific feedback. And that allows people to be able to just flow through things. And I can actually help you or tell you if I can't, which is even more important to me because I don't want to waste your time. So now getting into what the kind of like core piece of this that I want you guys to really understand is that when I was kind of going through the process of, like when I was younger and I was playing, I used to have this like crazy fear of, if I invest in something and I'm going to get screwed over, the person's not going to know what they're talking about, they're not going to be able to help me. And I always had this in the back of my head. And it used to drive me insane because it literally like ruined my career. Because I would always, like, number one, like I'd be afraid to make plays in games, just first of all. Like I'd be afraid to make mistakes, so I never like make moves, I never try anything. Then I would be terrified to invest in my game, so I would never hire a good coach. Like a couple times I did, and then I'd always back off and be like, yeah, you don't get me. And it doesn't mean every coach knows what they're doing. So if a coach does suck, definitely back off, like don't continue with them. But I like started refusing to pay a mental coach. I had a great mental coach. I can't remember his name right now. I think it was Alex Barron was his name. He was super, super smart. He knew what he was doing. And I literally like had a call with him, had an awesome visualization session I did with him. And I just like pushed him off. And I was like, nah, I got this. I don't need your help, basically. And it was so stupid that I did that because he was offering me like a good deal. Could have easily afforded it, but I was like, nah, I'm too cheap. Like I was like, I'm broke. I don't have any money. I did have money. It's stupid. I could have just asked my parents to give me a loan. I could have done it. Same thing with the skills coach. Same thing with the skating coach. Same thing with the strength and conditioning coach. The point of the next level accelerator and the next level academy, which comes with the accelerator, which is the academy is also a separate, cheaper program. The reason that exists is because I just want to give players all those tools. So we have a mental course, 8-week mental course, identity mastery system. We have a skills course, the skills mastery system. We have the skating system within the skills mastery. We have a strength and conditioning program. It's called the Freak Athlete program. I put it all together for this off season specifically because I realized that players don't have access to all these things, and it is expensive to hire all of these things. My recommendation is you join a program like the one that I have that has everything and teaches you a system to combine it all together and helps you transform your identity so you can be the player you want to be. Do that, and then hire one specialist that you really need, and then use like my programs or whoever it is as programs for the rest. So if you need a mental coach, that's like a really good place to start. Have a mental coach. Again, that's what I do, but like you can hire someone else. But get somebody to do that. Help you break through all your fear barriers. And then maybe you will like realize, oh, I actually do have like my grandma wants to give me an extra couple $100 every month or whatever. But like, or it's like I could work an extra little bit, like 3 hours a week, gives me an extra $60 or something or whatever that is. And I can go invest it in a skating coach or a skills coach. The best bet, I always say, whatever your weakest link is, that's one good place to start. But if not your weakest link, you should focus on your skating. Even though I'm a mental coach at heart, skating's like the most important thing. Because like you could have the best confidence in the world, but if your skating sucks, it makes absolutely no difference. So like just being the most real I can possibly be a great skater first, and then figure out everything else. So if your skating is garbage, I honestly think that's the place to start. And like if you haven't heard that before, like, please just do that. Parents listening to this, do that. Invest in a skating coach. And here's the thing, like, I used to have a huge anxiety around this stuff because I was so afraid to invest in things, and it used to like be weird because I like didn't realize how nervous I was or frustrated I was in the back of my head. And what I realize now is, shocker, the reason I was nervous and the reason I didn't really keep improving as much as I probably could have is because I was too afraid to get help. So I wasn't getting the information I needed, which was just stupid. And I say that looking back now, but I hope that like this forces you to look back and be accountable to, oh, am I doing that? Like, am I really that afraid to spend, $100 a week to have a skills coach and a, one session a week, or maybe 2 sessions a week with a skills coach, and have a group fitness training person? Or you can join like a program where it's, like really my academy program at the moment, it might be more expensive in the future, but is like $25 a week. And like you get access to all these programs and super easy to do. So like that's super cheap. And then we have the other programs that are a bit more expensive, but then we actually cover more deep things and solve problems. Like I work with you individually. But the thing is, what I'm trying to give you a frame of is like this stuff exists. And what I want you to realize is this is how you magnify your energy. This is how you get more leverage on your energy. It's like when you bench properly, you get in a good leveraged position, you bench properly from a good angle, and suddenly you're way stronger than you were if you put your arms in a really weird position and try to bench. So it's like, if you can gain leverage on your time, that's like the secret to everything. Gain leverage, gain leverage, gain leverage. How do you gain leverage? You invest in your skills. I'm going to repeat this. You invest in your skills to gain leverage. Where do you invest in your skills? Where you go to a skills trainer. You go to and when I say skills, it's also mental skills. It's the tools you need to be confident, focused, have high hockey IQ. It's the tools you need to be able to not just have high hockey IQ, but to actually have like a quality, like overall mindset. And then it's also the understanding of what skills do I need to develop. So let's say at the end of your practice, you're like, what do I do at the end of my practice? When you've developed the principles and the tools that I teach in the accelerator program, and you realize, oh, okay, that's how I prioritize my time. This is how I set up a skills session. You build all these things out. You realize that, oh, okay, there's actually ways to maximize all my time. And this stuff may not seem like it would make a huge difference, or maybe it does, because it does make a big difference. But where it makes the biggest difference, or the largest difference, is in the very long term. When you do this stuff over the course of multiple years, and then you do this for a 10-year period over the course of like a big chunk of your career, that's where it makes a big difference, because you've done those little things. And like I said before, you have to do different things to get different results. You have to be different than other people to get different outcomes for yourself. So please realize you got to be different. And to be different, you got to take different actions. Again, a lot of repetition, but this is like key stuff. So now, kind of expanding on this, where you can get skills, just to give you a couple other things. You obviously have skills coaches, or you have like hockey coaches in general, like your team coach. You have like individual types of coaches: skating, stick handling, shooting, battling, IQ. What is there anything else? Pretty much it. So you have all those things. You have online courses, which is what I do. I have online courses, I have online communities, I have all these different things. Then you have other players. So ask other players, what do you do for training? Ask them questions, pick their brain. Create masterminds. That's a secret. We're probably going to make a whole video on this. But all NHL players have masterminds. They have like a select group of players that they work with. So get yourself a mastermind. Get yourself a select group of players that are all like you. And this will like unlock a whole new opportunity for you when you really crack that open and realize, oh, well, if I could go do research for an hour and bring back, let's say 5 pieces of knowledge, but let's say that 10 other people do that. Well, now you're going to have, that'd be 55, so 9 other people, whatever. But let's say now you have 50 pieces of knowledge and all you did was work for an hour, right? 50 versus 5. But that's because you brought 10 people together. And that's what happens in the Next Level Academy and in the Accelerator, those guys are in the Academy as well, is you get that. You get this compounding effect that a big group of players all obsessing over the game together is more than just simply like the one mind, you now get the magnification of everyone, plus everybody learns from each other and then builds off that. So it's even more than those 50 pieces of new information and lessons. So it's like every day you can learn something new, and I'm also doing the same thing and researching and obsessing over it too. So you got that, you got books, and then you also have social media videos. So you want to hunt through the internet and think, okay, is there any Instagram videos, TikTok videos, YouTube videos? Find those. We like to do it in the academy where we just like bring it all into the group. But what you want to do is like do that and collect it and save it. And it's good if you have some kind of program or like use your iPhone notes or whatever it is and save it all, and then have a routine to come back to it once a week, once a month, once every couple months to revisit and deepen the lessons you learned. So that'll be super valuable for you. Here's the thing. Here's what you want to think with this. To learn skills, you need to develop a system as well. And then you want to learn how to play a role with like after you've built the system and you've built yourself into the identity you want to be, your unique player identity, then you need to figure out what role your team needs. Then you need to master your role, and then you want to earn larger roles. That's the game, right? Is you go and learn skills, you go invest in yourself, you learn skills, then you stack those skills into unique player identity, your unique player identity. Then you learn to play the role on your team that your team needs, right? Because every team needs some sort of role to be filled, whether it's offensive, defensive, two-way player, whatever it is. But you got to figure out, you can't have a team of all exactly the same player. At least I don't think you can. Maybe it's possible. But then you master your role, and then you expand your role. If your coach trusts you in one role, then you can grow off it. But if he doesn't even trust you in the one role you have, it's tough for him to trust you anywhere else. And this is what happens with great offensive players who go into the NHL. So they have the great offensive ability, but they haven't prepared their defensive ability. So it doesn't matter how great they can play the offensive role. If the team needs a guy who can play two ways, it just doesn't matter. And if you're not good enough offensively to make up for your lack of defense, then you're just not valuable. And go back to my identity letter on the value equation if you're wondering how to produce more value and how to do that. But spoiler alert, it's not that complicated if you really think about it. It's just reducing the risk level and being a higher reward player. It's all risk and reward for coaches. It's like, what's the likelihood this player is going to be good, and what is the likelihood that they're going to like hurt our team? And you just kind of weigh those two things out. That's like the simplified version. But if you want to go really deep with how to actually create value and have like a formula for that, just roll back there. Now, to finish off this long chat, it's longer actually than I thought I was going to talk for, but you are one system away from your hockey dreams. You are just a few short years from being way beyond what you thought you could be, right? Because you can actually change the whole trajectory of your career with one broken belief. And that's this belief I want you to take from this video. That number one, you can be great. There's actually, it's a couple beliefs, but it kind of all connects together. You can be great. You have way more potential than you realize. Your fear is the thing that's holding you back from believing in yourself. You're not believing in yourself, which is preventing you from leveling up your skills because you're not investing in yourself. You're not investing in a development system, which is preventing you from stacking the skills in a unique way. You're not investing in a personal coach, so it's going to make a difference because other guys are doing this and they are seeing how they can build themselves to be a unique player. Then here is the solution to this. And this is the belief I want you to break. Great players, smart players, invest. And it's time, money, and energy. They all go together. If you're afraid, money comes from energy expended. It comes from value provided to other people. So what you want to do is realize if you're afraid to invest money, then you're really afraid to invest energy into your game, like all your energy. So you want to think, here is my time. I have from, let's say, whatever age you are, but really my recommendation, you can be younger than 14 and not stress as much, but you really have from 14 to 20 to make a big impact in the world, like the hockey world, to really separate yourself. If you're younger, the more serious you take it, the more you'll separate yourself. Like Connor Bedard was just obsessed, shooting all the time, doing all that stuff. So that's what you want to think. Think about it from this perspective of, you got to change your system. You're one belief break away, and that belief is to invest in yourself. Every day you do extra shots. Every day you do your workouts, every day you do proper recovery, you get proper sleep. Every day that you make an investment with a coach that can help you get better and leverage the time you're putting in, leverage the energy you're putting in, and making sure that they're helping you develop in the right direction. Because here's the thing, you can put the same amount of energy, but let's say you work super hard, but let's say like success is like here, like up here, on the left if you're listening to this, and you could put all your energy like into doing something, but if it takes you way off to the right, it doesn't matter at all that you did 1,000,000 energy points into this. You worked 10,000 hours because you ended up in the wrong place. You didn't work on the right things. So please, if you're going to take anything, it's invest in yourself. Learn from somebody who's either done it before, but even guys from the NHL who have done it before, I will tell you this and you can learn it. Gretzky wasn't the best coach to ever live. He wasn't really that great of a coach from what I understand. Maybe he listens to this one day and he's like, oh man, you're not nice for, I'm going to try not to swear. You're not nice for saying this. But like at the end of the day, it's true, right? He was the best player to ever live in terms of like, his production was off the charts. But he wasn't an amazing coach. And this is what I try to tell people. Just because someone played in the NHL doesn't mean they know what they're talking about. And my other skills development coaches can probably help you with this. And also, there are lots of guys who have played at high levels who do know what they're talking about. But my point is that it doesn't like always correlate. So what I want you to take from this is to realize, invest in yourself, get a good coach who knows what they're talking about, who's produced results, who's helped players, and who has good referrals or good, like, people have said good things about them. I like to think that's what I'm like, but again, do your own research, look at my website, go ask people, have conversations. But invest, make the jump, because again, I don't want you to end up in the same place that I ended up in, which is I was scared to do it, and then I realized I'd missed so much leverage that I could have had by just learning from good coaches who could have pushed me, could have had me learn things that I was missing. There was stupid little tweaks that I missed, and I went out with a skills coach one time when I was like 19, 20. He put me through some drills, and I was like, wow, I suck at these drills. And I realized, wow, like, I've totally lost certain skills that I developed when I was young, when my dad was putting me in like power skating and all this stuff. So this is for like junior players, is realize if you get off track, you can really screw your career up. And like, that's what I noticed is like, I played good. I was a good player, and I kind of willed my way into D3. And unfortunately, I had like injury, COVID year, bad, psycho coach or whatever. So like I had like 3 years of just like the worst possible scenarios of hockey. Didn't get to play any real hockey. So if you look at my like stats, you'll see I think I played like 14 games or something. And mind you, I missed like 3 years and tried to come back, played some games. That's a story for another time. But the point being is like, what I realized is I probably could have been at a Division I trajectory. Like I probably could have cracked like a lower level Division I team. I mean, just being like very real with you or with everybody. Like I could have done that, and I know everybody says, yeah, shoulda, coulda, woulda. I was there. I was playing at that level. When I was 17, I was like, playing very well, like a point a game, almost a point a game as a rookie in the AJHL, and like, at 17. So like very solid, like could have kind of if I built off that, and if I had have invested in myself more during that time, I know that there was levels to it. Now, this is not me telling you a sob story for you to care about me. I don't care at all about me in this scenario. What I'm trying to do is communicate what I learned and communicate to my past self, because this is a mistake I made. So if you are in that position, you're early in your junior career, somewhere in that, I want you to be super, super real with yourself. Look in the mirror and ask yourself, am I really afraid to invest in myself? And if that's the case, is it because I don't actually believe I can get to where I want to go? And you might be surprised that you answer that question like, yeah, I am actually afraid to fail. And then ask yourself, am I going to allow that to stop me? Because here's the thing. Invest in your game, watch it pay off in a few months of working with somebody, then watch the proud feeling you get when in a few years you're ahead of all those people that were equal with you or that were above you and maybe used to chirp you or say certain things. Watch everyone's respect change when you transform. Watch everybody start to envy you. Watch people start to say, wow, like, how did you do this? they start to look up to you because you came from less and you suddenly became like more than them in this sense. And by no means being a great hockey player makes you a better person than anybody, but it is a really gratifying feeling when you do go through that process. And I did that when I was in minor hockey, and it was a super prideful feeling. I watched a lot of players that were a million times better than me earlier on in my AAA career. I caught up to them. I went ahead of them. So I learned a lot. It was really cool to see. It's a special feeling, and I want other players to have that for themselves, have that come up, be that underdog, and to figure it out. So again, make the jump. Today is the day that you change your hockey career. So if you want to join me, then fill out a form and let me know, and be very adamant and say, hey, I watched this video called "Fear is Blocking Your NHL Dream and Your Potential." So just say you watched this video and say this was the reason. But here's the thing. I believe in you. I really know you can do this. I'm here to support you. And so just go fill out a form. I'm happy to help. And if not, go start working with people. Invest in yourself and trust yourself. And know and believe in yourself that you can actually get to where you want to go. Please do it. You'll be so proud of yourself. You'll be so happy you did. Hope you have a great day, great week, and you keep crushing it. I'll talk to you soon.